Hello and welcome to the 2N Lift webinar. My name is Lukas Sota, Product Marketing Manager at 2N, and I'm honored to be the host of today, the first ever session dedicated to lift manufacturers and service providers. Are you wondering how to overcome the upcoming challenges in the field of lift emergency communication? If so, stay tuned for next 60 minutes and we will show you not only this, but much more. We will talk about our product portfolio, and we will also take a look back at highlights from the Europe's largest exhibition, Interlift. Now, it's my pleasure to welcome and introduce you my guests, 2N expert, Pavel Kotek, Lift Sales Director at 2N, and Peter Kovanec, Product Manager at 2N, responsible for lift products. For better experience, I would recommend you to put the video on the full screen view, which you can do in the layout session at the top right corner. And if you have any questions to our guys, feel free to use Q&A section at the bottom down corner. One last piece of information from me, this session is being recorded. And now, guys, floor is yours.
Thank you, Lukas.
Thank you. Okay, so maybe not all of you know 2N, so let me just spend a couple seconds on that. So 2N is headquartered in Czech Republic, in Prague. Our revenue in 2021 was over 65 million euros. We have grown to over 400 employees, and we as 2N are part of Access, which is actually part of Canon. So the journey of the emergency communicators started already in 1999. So 8 years after the establishment of the company, 2N introduced the first autodialer for the industry. 5 years later, we were the first to introduce the GSM gateway to be used as alternative to the landlines. And actually, already in 2014, we introduced the first lift emergency communicator based on IP called Lift IP. Again, 4 years later, in 2018, we put on market the first 4G gateway, and as you can see in the 2021, we moved our attention more towards 4G, IP, and cloud solutions.
Thank you, Pavel, for a short company introduction. As we can see, there is a significant company development which hasn't been easy and smooth. And therefore, we will speak today also about the obstacles. And as the obstacles are also the right challenges for us, we will also provide you and share with you the best solutions. So before I start, let's look at the following video. So, as you can see, there are many of challenges ahead of us. PSTN is going to be shut down very soon. There are also billions of devices which rely on old legacy networks like 2G and 3G. We can also see the worsening trend of DTMF distortion. And last but not least, there is also IoT. Connecting the product to the digital world of elevators has arrived, and therefore also your elevator needs to be future ready. It's not a surprise that all these challenges were confirmed by the exhibitors and visitors at Interlift. So any equipment such as a desk phone, alarm system, door entry system, and also the emergency communication device in your elevator that currently uses the PSTN will stop working soon. The carriers also shutting down their 2G, 3G networks due to unreliability to make room for new cellular networks like 4G, so-called LTE. There is not enough time and you have to be prepared, and therefore you should start to replace the emergency communication devices very soon. Here you can see the time schedule of 2G and 3G sunset, which is planned by the biggest mobile carriers in Europe. As you can see, there is a big 2025 year where we can expect that many of the mobile networks will shut down. So you shouldn't waste the time and you should start with the replacement very soon. So what's the DTMF about? 100% reliable of DTMF tones is needed for the lift identification, also for the cause acknowledgement, and also in some cases for the configuration adjustment of the devices. Usually there are more than one media gateway which are converting from one technology to the other. This conversion is the root cause of the DTMF distortion even with 4G. So we are convinced that the voice over IP technology using a SIP protocol guarantees reliable transmission of the DTMF tones. And IoT. We can see a continuous trend of installing modern, luxury, reliable, and safe elevators. But is it enough? The elevator industry itself is very tough and competitive, and therefore you should differentiate your products. Differentiation of the products can be getting the IP from the gateway to your cabin, and you can provide much more services and fun to your clients and passengers. With 2N, you need just 2 wires to get IP connectivity to your elevator. You should also think about how to increase the efficiency of the operators and service technicians, which is also possible by using the remote monitoring tool. And let me come to this topic at a later stage.
Nice, thank you. You mentioned VoIP technology, you mentioned data connectivity. If I understand it well, the field of lift emergency communication is now in the same phase as, for example, telecommunications were at the end of the last millennium, or intercoms were about 10 years ago, right? I mean, on the way of transition to IP, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. So the things we already experienced in the past years in telecommunications, in intercoms, in audio. So that moving from the legacy technology into an IP is coming to the elevator world as well.
Perfect. Got it. I understand. Thank you. And before we move on, I'd like to remind you, don't forget to ask questions to our speakers. Use the Q&A section, bottom right corner, and feel free to ask anything you want. Guys, you mentioned a couple of challenges which are ahead. I mean, end of 2G, 3G network, unavailability of PSTN lines, distortion of DTMF signal. These are real obstacles, but how to deal with them? How can our customers be prepared for them? How to choose the right product for these challenges? Can you advise them something?
Sure, we will.
Thank you.
So as Lukáš mentioned, so what to select? The portfolio of 2N can be structured into 3 main groups. Let me start with the first one. So what to do if you have like traditional analog solution, or you want to install still the traditional analog solution. From the 2N portfolio, you can definitely start with the Lift 1, which is analog-based emergency communicator supporting the industry standard protocols like CPC and P100 with different versions of the units for the surface mount, behind the COP, top of car, and so on. But we mentioned the challenges of analog lines being unavailable and 2G, 3G shutting down. So what's next? Our answer to that would be the new EasyGate IP, which is a communication gateway supporting not only 2G and 3G, but also 4G, but at the same time with the ability for voice over IP calls. So that's the typical device for landline replacement, and that's the device which also guarantees the reliable transmission of DTMF tones, Petr mentioned earlier. Those products are also supported with our cloud solution, Elevator Center, where you can monitor the devices. You can see their status of the device, battery, the connectivity, the network connected to the strength of the signal, and so on. And that's on one place for all of your devices. Let me just spend a couple minutes on the connection scheme, because it's always best. So imagine you have your lift car where is an emergency communicator based on the analog technology, like to a Lift 1 or any other. The device is connected over just 2 wires in the traveling cable to a gateway, which is then creating the door to the outside world, and can use the 4 different technologies I mentioned earlier. There is also RS-232 connectivity to connect, let's say, legacy controller and provide connectivity for this piece of hardware. And also for like a simple monitoring of the installation, there is one input which you can connect to any failure output of the installation. The configuration of the 2N device in the cabin can be made by USB or together with the gateway by one simple text message. So that's about the analog, traditional, maybe I should say old-fashioned, but it's still the majority of the install base. So if you even have some install base and you want to bring it to the newest technology standard, you can use the gateway to basically make from any analog dialer an IP dialer. So let's see what the gateway can also do in the short video. So as you have seen, the gateway was done to withstand severe situations like water, like high and low temperatures. But let us now move to Peter's part, and he will tell us more about our second solution.
Thank you, Pavel. Very exciting. I would like to introduce you briefly another great product from 2N Lift portfolio, so-called Lift 8. It's very modular and expandable solution with many options and accessories, similar to Lego. Whenever you need to build a robust and fully complex lift communication system, it will be definitely a right choice. So why Lift 8? The beauty of the system is not only the modularity and complexity, but also the cost efficiency. It means with one central unit that you can see on the left upper corner, the yellow box, you can connect or you can serve up to 8 elevator independent shafts. And how we do it? For this purpose, you need to install just the splitters for extension the audio units in multiple lift shafts. So it means you don't need to install 8 single separate gateways with 8 SIM cards. So you definitely save the costs. There is also a wide range of the accessories, as I mentioned. So there are a couple of communication interfaces, starting PSTN, the old-fashioned communication technology, but also 2G, 3G, 4G, and even voice over IP technology. There are also another modules like camera module, not surprisingly for connecting the camera in your elevator, but also the I/O module, RS-232 module for receiving the AT commands from the lift controller. And there are definitely also the audio units that you can place in the elevator or in the shaft, machine room, or in the pit. All 2N lift systems, including Lift 8, with its own application for surveillance and call center, are supported. So you obtain a comprehensive solution, including supervisory software. Let's look also at the connection scheme. So on the left upper corner, there is a central unit, Lift 8. On the left side of the central unit, you can also see the audio unit which can be placed in the machine room, or if you have a space in the box for the controller. Lift 8 central unit can be also placed not only in the machine room, but also whenever you have a space in the head of the shaft. Then we can see in the cabin the audio unit, which I mentioned that we have several options, like a design options, compact version, flush mounted, and also the COP, which is the hidden PCB behind the COP. So still you can keep your own COP. And then also we can install the audio units on the roof of the cabin, on the bottom of the cabin, and also in the pit. On the right side of the scheme, you can see the splitter that I mentioned. For the first shaft, you don't need to use the splitter because the splitter for the first shaft is already there. So for the second and more, you have to install just the splitters, not the central units. And then you can also extend the audio units for another shafts. On the bottom part, on the right side, there is also Lift 8 fireman unit, which can be used in cases of the fireman indication or fire indication. What needs to be also highlighted is that this solution is perfectly fitting to the high-rise buildings. And that's because of the up to 600 meters long shaft cable length, or you can also use another options how to connect the units. The configuration can be done locally with the supplied configuration software application or remotely using the voice menu, software application, or SMS. And let me repeat again, just 2 wires needed to get the connectivity even of the voice over IP. So, Pavel, can we move to the next solution?
Yes, so we were speaking a lot about IP, so let us take a look on the IP solution. As I mentioned in the initial phase, in the overview, so we have since many years already IP-based emergency dialer for elevator car. So it's a pure IP-based communicator, designed as an IP communicator, not something like converting an analog into IP or things like that. It can be powered over PoE, so power over Ethernet. So you need just one cable to power the device. As you might have seen already, we have always various versions of the cabin units. And the beauty also is that, let's say, if you have a COP prepared for 2N products, it doesn't matter whether you install the Lift 1, the analog solution, Lift 8, the digital solution, or the IP solution. In all those cases, the COP can stay as you design it, and all the devices behind the COP have the same form factor. The beauty of IP is that you are not limited to the number of devices in the shaft. So if you have a demanding installation where you need a device on every floor for any reason, it's easily done with Lift IP. And another nice feature is that you can connect a stream from an IP camera and you can create a video call out of the elevator car to the response center. So you have a visual confirmation of what is happening in the cabin. Thanks to that, you can also limit the unnecessary writes to the site because you will know whether there was someone playing and it's a false alarm, which you don't need to respond to. Okay, we're speaking about having an IP device, but how to get the connectivity to the cabin. We were asking the same question, and the answer is our new lift gate, which is actually a combination of 4 products. It is a 4G or LTE router. It's a 8-port switch. It is a UPS, and it is a converter from Ethernet into 2 wires. So as you can see in all 2N products, you can always use just 2 wires in the traveling cable. And also, we were speaking about the cloud solution for monitoring of the devices, of setting them up, of remote firmware upgrades, of remote access to every single site. So that's why we have our elevator center supporting also not only the EasyGate I mentioned, but also the lift gate as well as the Lift IP. Maybe let us take a look at the scheme now to explain a bit more about the product. So in top of the shaft in the machine room is sitting the lift gate main unit, which can be connected to the local one, over the local one port to the local network, but also you can have up to 2 SIM cards providing the connectivity over mobile network. So we can build redundancy in that. So let's say in standard case, the local network of the building could be used, and if this is not available, it will switch to the SIM card number 1. And if there is a failure in the mobile carrier number 1, it will automatically switch to the SIM card number 2. There is a big battery inside, which is capable of supporting all that installation with just 1 battery. And then if you go down in the traveling cable, again utilizing just 2 wires, there is a unit in the cabin called cabin switch. So this cabin switch has two PoE ports to connect. First of all, a dialer, and most likely a second would be an IP camera. All this connected over two wires and powered by the main battery in the lift gate central unit. There are two other ports in the cabin to connect some other IP devices, like a display, for example. Yeah, entertainment display is definitely a trend nowadays. So the connectivity can be provided there. And there is also a 12-volt output for the emergency light, backed up by the main battery. So if we move up to the lift gate again, so there are another 3 LAN ports available. One of them is dedicated to be used with the emergency phone, and then also 2 others are there to provide connectivity for the controller. So that's why the device is called lift gate, as a gate to your lift, providing all the connectivity with one single device and connecting all the IP devices there. Our industry is driven by standards. So 2N is constantly working to ensure that the products fulfill all the requirements. We are using TIF as a certification authority. We are also following the code in the US, Australia, and other regions. We are selling our products to be compliant and to be ready for what's coming, what's cooking, like the new ISO standard, which might be a significant change for the industry.
Thank you, Pavel.
Welcome.
So let me continue with another tools or scope of our product portfolio, which is the virtual tool, be able to do the remote management of the system. So yeah, as I said, as a part of the IoT of elevators, there has to be also a tool be able to remotely control and manage the devices through the IP. We are talking about the gateways, we are talking about the routers, and also about the communication devices. So all of them are as a part integrated to our cloud solution, so-called elevator center. It is very dynamic tool where we spend a lot of resources in order to improve your services, be faster, be effective, and provide the best solutions for your clients. So let's look at the main pillars that we consider as the most important ones of the elevator center. So the reason why we developed the system was auto-provisioning. It means, as I said, we want to simplify your life and we want to help you to do the installation of the communication devices as easy as possible. Then we have the non-stop control over all 2N IP devices, be able to have a full overview about the state of connected devices. Then we provide you the remote device access, be able to adjust any of the parameters. And definitely there has to be also the feature for the remote firmware upgrade to have the advantage of the new features that we develop for you. All this can be done without any special IT skills. And last but not least, the safety of the elevator is the most important topic, not only for you, but also for the maintenance companies, producers, passengers. And also for us, it's very important to provide you the cloud system, which is trusted and verified. And in combination with the elevator center, as I mentioned, there are several pillars, and there is also the pillar which will provide you much more than now. It means we already discussed voice over IP technology using the SIP protocol, and this is something that we are working very heavily, and we are going to launch this tool as a part of the Elevator Center in the Q2 next year.
Yeah, maybe let me comment here. 2N has already a global solution for voice over IP being used in our door intercoms. So it's not something we would develop from scratch. We wouldn't have any experience in and so on. So we are now working on moving this into the world of elevators.
Thank you, Pavel. Very valid comment.
Very nice. Impressive portfolio with so many products and so many smart tools, how to configure them, how to monitor them. Truly a solution for every type of lift project. I mean, from the traditional analog, the most widespread ones in these days, through installations requiring modularity and multi-shock environments, up to smart IP lifts. Guys, question to you. You have so many products. Can you highlight some of the successful projects, some of the successful installations where you have already installed these type of products, or maybe tell the customers there where they can experience our products?
Sure. We are proud to share such references. Pavel?
Yes, I'll do. So it starts here in Prague with one of the skyscrapers, but actually the analog solution is being used. Not something we would expect in that type of building, but it's also possible. Then the other installations, for example, the one in W Hotel in Dubai, it's already based on the multi-shaft environment solution Lift 8, and it's the IP-based solution being used there. The pure IP solution on the Lift IP solution is the one installed in Turkey, in the Zorlu Center, which is a combination of residential and shopping mall. And maybe the newest addition and the one we are proud of, we were speaking about high-rise buildings. So the Lift 8 system is actually the one installed in the Warsaw Tower, which is the tallest building in the European Union. And there are many more. I just wanted to highlight a couple of them. Maybe more about the verticals where we see the IP installations moving forward. So we have an installation in Metro in Rome, which is actually a combination of Lift IP and Lift 8 installations. It's not only in the lifts, but also on the platforms. The same is there for the train stations. So recently, the IP is making its way into a transportation, and it's required to be installed in that transportation vertical. And maybe one to mention is our first installation we did in Dubai. I think it's like 15, maybe more years ago, which was based on the Lift 1, and right now we are moving into an upgrade into an IP solution based on our Lift 8 system.
Pavel, I think you should stop because we will need another 5 hours at least to share many of really nice references. And yeah, let's go one step forward.
Yeah, we promised you in the beginning to give you our view what happened in Interlift, what we have seen, what were the most discussed topics. So I think the biggest interest of 2N products was dedicated to the lift gate and the lift IP scenario, which we were showing and highlighting the need of just 2 wires in the traveling cable for all IP needs in the cabin. Even if the lift gate is not used for the emergency communication, it's a nice device to provide connectivity for the elevator car and for all the devices which needs to be installed there nowadays. The other topic we got the most talks and discussions and presentations about was the online monitoring of the devices. Because the bigger is the portfolio the maintainer or the elevator company has, the higher the need to have some tools, to have an overview, not to waste money and resources in going to unnecessary emergency calls or unnecessary service requests. I was mentioning the code in the US, so we were also showing our proof of concept of the device, which is capable of two-way video and text communicator located in the elevator car as is required in the new code in the US. And I was speaking about the EasyGate, Peter was speaking about the EasyGate, so we also get a lot of talks about, okay, how to move my traditional analog installation into the new world of IP. And we got the confirmation about the shutdowns of the networks. It's happening, it's definitely happening with different pace. I mean, there are countries where nowadays is nothing else than 4G. There are countries where in next year will be nothing else than 4G. On the other hand, there are countries that still is and will be 2G for some time. But we feel that it is necessary to let you all know that this is coming and that we all should get ready and not to install devices which have very short lifetime because of the shutdowns.
That's a very good point, Pavel. I'm glad that you mentioned this.
Thank you guys for an overview, amazing project across the world, and also for the feedback from the Interlift, which was really amazing. I really like the video and text communicator, and I think it's like inspiring also for our customers who are watching us right now. I believe, and if I'm not mistaken, we are at the end of the presentation, right?
Pretty much.
And it seems it's time for Q&As, for questions. So one last call for you. If you have any questions to our guys, please use the Q&A section, bottom right corner, type the question, and we will answer the question in a moment. So guys, I saw a couple of interesting, tricky questions. Are you ready?
Yes?
As always.
As always. So let me read the first one. So the first question is, you present that only two wires in the traveling cable are needed to connect the IP communicator in the elevator car. Which wires are these? Does that mean that they need Ethernet wiring in the traveling cable?
No. So as we mentioned, it's two wires, so it's two conductors, pretty much any two conductors which are available in the traveling cable can be used. Typically, that would be those two conductors you are currently using to connect your analog-based device. And this connectivity, we were speaking about high-rise, so this is also something we can use for up to, in this case, 400 meters length of the shaft.
Very nice. The next one?
Okay.
Okay. If I decide to replace the gateway with new one, do I need to replace the communicators in the cabin as well? They are not that old, and I would not like to invest in replacing them as well.
Okay, so let me take this question. which is very good. There is no need to replace the communication device in the car, in the cabin. So just you can take the existing infrastructure, be able to connect existing communication device in the elevator with the new gateway, which is usually placed in the head of the shaft or in the machine room. So yeah, you can save the cost. And it's easy.
It's so easy.
Thank you. The next one from Tom. Would you recommend changing to a call center that supports receiving VoIP calls?
I would, because that's, I mean, from our point of view, it's inevitable. I mean, it's coming sooner or later. So if you are now deciding about having a call center partner, you should ask them this question or put that request.
Yeah. And that's exactly why we are working on the development of the integration digital PBX as a part of the elevator center.
Thank you. The next one from Mikhail. We have had quite few inquiries to hotels and office buildings to install screens in elevators to share advertising. I'm interested in the liftgate product that provides data connectivity. Is it necessary to install an IP communicator in the car as well?
It's not necessary, but it would make the most sense. I mean, you can still keep the analog dialer you have there and use the liftgate and the liftgate cabin switch to provide the connectivity for the display in the car. But there is still ports available to connect the IP-based communicator. So I would suggest to switch there, or at least to have it in mind for the future.
Okay, I would call it perfect and faithful IP marriage.
The next question probably from Calvin, from Guy, probably from America. Do you have any video and text installations in North America?
No, we don't at the moment. As I said, the device we were showing was just a proof of concept in reaction to the new code requirement. Part of our solution is used in the video and text communication from a company called Urtec. So there you would find part of our hardware, but not the device for the cabin. This is, as I said, it's currently in the proof of concept phase. We are gathering feedback. So anything you would have as a feedback in terms of the size, mounting, whatsoever, will be more than welcome.
Yeah.
And one of the last ones, our company specializes in lift servicing, and we have a portfolio of around 2,000 lifts with 2G only gateways, and a further 500 lifts connected to a fixed line. I'm getting a bit lost in your product range. What would you recommend as an ideal solution for a bulk gateway replacement?
Okay, so let me answer this question. Yeah, seems you have a problem, but no worries, we will help you. The best solution that we can provide you is the EasyGate IP, which was presented by Pavel. I think this is the best solution for you. It's on one side, it's really easy to install. You have battery backup. It's fully compliant with all legal norms and requirements. And there is quite a, let's say, wide range of the options. So you have 2G, you can have 3G, 4G, even also voice over IP. There is also the cloud management system available, yeah, and much more. Yeah, so definitely EasyGate IP is the best solution to do, let's say, the replacement of the existing gateways in a bulk. Thank you for your question.
Great, and it seems it is the last one. Still, you have some time to add any. If you have any question, feel free. I will answer very last one, and still you have some time to add yours. Can we get a recording of the webinar? Yes, the webinar is recorded, and we will share the recording with you later on, I believe, at the beginning of next week, as a part of the thank you email. So you will have the recording. So it seems there are no more questions appearing in the Q&A. So it's my pleasure to thank you guys. Thank you, Pavel. Thank you, Peter, for sharing like great. Really? Then you won. So let's answer the last one. Pat Gordon is asking, please, would you be so kind and tell us again what power supply is needed for the EasyGate and confirm that the backup is just regular AA batteries?
Okay, so there are several options for the connection with the power supply. There is a socket version. There is also the we call it laptop version. You can also connect the power supply to your controller as well, based on the parameters that are in the datasheet.
Yeah, pretty much it's 10 to 30 volts. So whatever you have available there. It's coming with the power supply when we supply it, and it is regular AA accumulators, so not the batteries. So it's rechargeable batteries.
Perfect. Thank you for the answers, and thank you also for the talks about what is like ahead, what challenges we are going to experience, for the presentation of the portfolio, and also for the guiding us through the successful projects you have already like done. It's obvious that there are like a couple of challenges ahead, but you don't be scared. With 2N products, 2N solutions, you will be prepared for this, and you will smoothly transit to IP technology. And if you missed any information today, you can still download our new ebook, which was published a couple of weeks ago. It was sent to you like a part of the registration email process, and you can download it also from our 2n.com website. You will also receive the recording, as I mentioned, like part of the thank you email. And still, if you have any questions, you can contact us or guys directly. Thank you for your attention, and let 2N guide you through the IP journey. Thank you for your attention. Thank you guys for your speech.
Thank
you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.